What's going on, wrestling fans? You have now joined us here on a Monday night before Raw. That means you're watching Wrestling Warm-Up right here on WrestlingRumors.net. And, of course, we've got the usual boys, Mr. Alex V-Song, Chris Walter, and John Alba hanging out with us tonight. Actually, John's he's not usually a Monday night guy. He's usually a pay-per-view guy because he has class. But you're snowed in again, huh?
Snowed in. Pathetic it, baby.
Pathetic it. Gotta love it.
Regrettic it?
Something
Beautiful.
like that. Something like that. Boys, how you doing? How was the weekend? How's the cold treating you up there in the bitterness, in the cloudiness? Canada, you got how much today?
They got 20 centimeters, which apparently is not a lot because you guys made fun of me when I brought it up earlier.
I think it's because you use centimeters. I don't know how many. Well, how much? Like, what's that in inches?
You know what? I don't even know. You guys don't even use like kilometers up there too, right?
No.
You're on it's like an entirely different universe where you guys are at, man. You guys got to come to Canada, where the real metric system is.
But 20 centimeters in my brain is maybe like what?
It's
2 inches?
It's like 3 inches per, or 3 centimeters per inch or something.
It's enough snow that no one went to work today. That's all you need to know. Everyone's snowed in.
Yeah, you gotta know, man. I'm from South Carolina. I don't do math. Like I don't do math. Like I don't do math. I went to Clemson University and studied journalism. I don't do math.
That was journalism with a Z, not an S.
That's exactly right. With 2 U's. Journalism. Yeah, I don't do math. But I know I don't measure anything in centimeters, so I don't know. Inches, feet, we go that route. And John has how many feet of snow over there where you are?
At least 1.5 feet.
And that's just been staying around since last Monday. Like it's just been ridiculous.
No, it was 1.5 feet last Monday, and then 1.5 feet today.
Dang, man, that's crazy.
Bring it on.
I can't. And that's the thing. Like I'm in South Carolina, we get like 8 inches at best. That's it.
Yeah, but then when it's like 3 inches there, people freak out, and it's
no, it's just the advisory. Like snow is coming, like bread and milk. Like there's bare shelves at the gas stations and grocery stores. There's like people freak out. They close schools just on, hey, we're getting winter weather today, and it could be literally an inch of ice over here where I am in the mountains in the upstate in Greenville, and it could be 2 inches of snow in the Midlands and on the coast, and they cancel school for the entire state. Welcome to South Carolina, where we over-exaggerate everything and secede from the Union. You know, that's what we do.
You know, you look like a combination of Big Show and Sami Zayn tonight.
That's how we roll. I'm Big Zayn. Big Zayn, that's how I do it. No, it's Mondays. The Mondays are my days off. I'm comfortable all day. I wear a hoodie. I wear a hat. That's how I roll. And that's how you guys that watch the show get to see us. And right now we're going to start talking about Raw because it starts in about an hour and a half. And, you know, if we get anything like last week, it won't be useless. Last week, we talked about it before here. We talked about the fallout from the Rumble. And then, of course, we previewed what this in-office episode was going to look like, and holy crap, it was not totally useless. I thought that it was a little bit more beneficial, and I don't care if the promos were scripted and they had to rehearse them or what. Like I don't care about that. They actually made sense and actually was a plus side to the programming we've been seeing lately, because Raw sucked for months, and SmackDown's gotten very watchable and has been fun since
I had a great time.
Thursdays. Yeah, you went to SmackDown Thursday. How was that?
It was great. It was great. It was a cool live atmosphere, and the show didn't drag, which was really nice.
And I mean, it wasn't a bad show. Walter, you had your thoughts on the show. I didn't get to see. Only thing I got to see of it because I was doing rehearsals with a band. I got to see the Goldust and Stardust. I got to see Goldust and Stardust do their whole tension of a split coming, and then I got to see the main event, which I thought was decent.
You saw Rusev Cena too, right?
Oh, I looked up Rusev Cena later online when you told me I needed to see it, which they handled that well because John Cena has to pull up any kind of trait that he can to make himself the face in this thing, or else he's going to get they're going to switch and he's going to get booed. So to pull out more Thugonomic-esque promos is definitely what needs to happen here because You really need the fans to like John Cena against a Rusev, where people were cheering for Rusev at the Royal Rumble because they didn't want to see Roman Reigns win. But Walter, what was your thoughts on Roman Reigns? He cut a quick promo, had a match with Big Show. John, you liked it live. Walter, you said you weren't really impressed.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of back to square one. I mean, I gave him some props with Monday Night Raw, even though there was those reports on Reddit where there was a producer literally saying everything to him the entire time. He was just repeating it, which whatever, it is what it is at this point. But on SmackDown, when he's out there with no one to kind of lean on and he has the microphone in his hand, I was just kind of like, well, this is Roman Reigns again. Like, it's the same guy. Like, he's not as charismatic as he was on Monday Night Raw when he was just sitting there and doing the one-on-one interview. And it helps when you have Paul Heyman conducting the entire thing, and you have this imposing figure, Brock Lesnar, the guy you're facing in the main event of WrestleMania, to kind of be a crutch. But on SmackDown, I was just like, okay, well, now we're back to where we started. Roman Reigns is still the Roman Reigns that I'm not confident in.
B-Song, did you watch it? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I had it on as background noise, and I think that opened the show, I think, so I actually caught that segment. I mean, I didn't really mind it. I mean, I think they're still going along the lines of Reigns being a much different character than he was prior to the Rumble. He's more of this towering badass, so to speak. I think it was good, too, that they didn't have him talking the mic for a very long time. They kept it short and simple, which benefits Reigns, but at the same time, later on, when he is going up against, Paul Heyman on the stick, you probably have to have him talk a little bit more, but I think for now it's a good first step for him to hopefully legitimize his character so he can improve his mic skills and then go on the face Brock.
I was going to say, Walter, I don't think we saw the same show then, because he barely said anything to start that show. He maybe said 3 sentences max, and that's the kind of character that we were talking about that we want to see out of Roman Reigns, where he keeps things very short to the point. He's not doing these elaborate storytelling and fantasizing, whatever you want to call it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that opening segment. I mean, you could say, oh, well, we've seen Big Show Roman Reigns a million times, but I didn't think the match was all that bad either, minus the Reigna Karana. I don't even know what you want to call it.
He's starting to get the John Cena treatment.
The Roman Karana?
I can't believe that they're literally making Roman Reigns do a Hurricane Rana so that he does
That's the dumbest thing.
That's the booking stuff that I'm talking about, though. You've never seen Roman Reigns pull out a Hurricane Rana, and then he pulls one out on SmackDown, and now here's even more comparisons that the big guys are trying to make him look like John Cena and force him down our throats. That's not positive. It's not what they want to do with this guy. And I really hope that things get better. I did see him spit up and it land on his head. I did see that later.
Yeah,
that was
funny.
Absolutely disgusting. But to each their own, I guess. But as far as Reigns goes, I think tonight's really going to be the showing. I think tonight's really going to be the deciding factor of our fans going to get behind him or not. And I don't think it's going to take a month and a half. I don't think that a month and a half can do it justice. After the Rumble, and we saw what happened at the Rumble, and we all said it was going to happen at the Rumble. We said he was going to win. We said that the fans were going to react the way that they did. And then, of course, we get the Monday night promo with him and Brock Lesnar, which was phenomenal. I thought it was well done. I said it on Wrestle Reaction immediately following Raw. I really thought that his interaction with Brock Lesnar was very well done. Paul Heyman doing the talked about his respect for him and his family and all that kind of stuff was phenomenal. I really wish looking back at the Rumble and stuff, I really wish they would have addressed like when the Shield attacked The Rock multiple times and they triple powerbombed him, and now family is family. Like they really act like we forget. They really act like we just forget about everything. But for me, I think tonight's going to be see if the proof's in the pudding or not for Roman Reigns, because you have this monumental, groundbreaking, and shaking announcement that's going to kick off the program. And let's talk about that straight out the chute, man. Triple H is going to be making an announcement. He said that, and he said that it was going to be something that's going to shake the foundations of the company, and of course he said that to Roman Reigns. What do you guys think this is going to be about? I only can think that it has to do with something with WrestleMania 31.
I personally think they're going to replay the end of the Royal Rumble, even though it's kind of weak because, Triple H's mindset is The Rock came in and kind of disrupted the finish, even though he really didn't. Big Show and Kane were already eliminated and Rusev was hiding under the ring, so his interference didn't really mean much. But like I reported on the site, they're teasing that it might include Dean Ambrose, and they singled him out for some reason, and he was one of the final 4 or final 5 if you want to add Rusev that were in that match. And if Triple H does have a problem with the way it ended, maybe at Fastlane we get the Ambrose, Reigns, Big Show, and Kane in some sort of over-the-top situation. They replay it. It would be groundbreaking because they've never done that before, at least.
I think you'd have to throw Rusev in there, but he's working with John Cena, so I don't know how that. I think it would have to happen on Raw and not at Fastlane.
I mean, either way, either they do it tonight or they do it at the pay-per-view.
My thing is, I mean, and that's what you're saying with the Dean Ambrose. So that's definitely not on purpose. They're using social media more than ever now to start storylines, to get things going. Triple H is synonymous with Reddit. Like, he loves reading what fans have to say. This is the reality era. He wants to be engaged with them. We have that Triple H Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast after Raw. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but that's because Triple H wants to incorporate more real-life stuff into storylines, which they desperately need to get back to. That's what the Attitude Era was more like, and we need to get back to that kind of programming. But, I mean, look at what we're hearing about Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. They started talking about having a match with each other on Twitter. And we may get that match at WrestleMania. We'll know more about that tonight as well on Raw. But social media is huge for WWE right now, and I mean the new Authority account that has been letting people know what's going on. They reiterated that he's going to start the program, that Triple H is going to start the program off tonight with the monumental announcement, whatever that's going to be. They also revealed the John Cena Rusev match for Fastlane last Monday night. They also revealed that Sting and Triple H should be going face to face at Fastlane last Monday night from that Twitter account. It's obvious that for this road to WrestleMania, Twitter's going to be more important than anything to be watching, because I think these guys are going to be going head-to-head on Twitter to get their angles over and stuff. And I really hope that we do get Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan. But more, I want to know what you, John, and you, AB, think this monumental announcement is going to be tonight.
I figured this was going to boil down to throwing Reigns against the odds more so than giving everybody an opportunity. Keep in mind, they've said many things are going to be groundbreaking, all that stuff. Cena versus Orton at TLC 2013 was supposed to be the single most important match in the history of the company, according to them. Obviously, we know it wasn't the case. But they've never been afraid to shy away from hyperbole. So maybe this is just a matter of Reigns has to put his spot on the line against Rollins, or maybe he has to do a series of matches against some of the final Rumble participants to keep his spot, or something along those lines.
John, I went to school for journalism. Hyperbole means exaggeration, right?
Extreme exaggeration.
Oh, see, I'm learning. I'm still learning.
Extreme.
Yeah, Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, like Not Warren Sapp hit on. The whole groundbreaking thing about it, I tend to agree with John like that. They hype these things up, especially someone like Triple H, a heel character, hypes this up as some groundbreaking announcement. I don't think it's going to be that groundbreaking. As for the Ambrose teaser, I think they're just more playing on the fact that Triple H's announcement will affect everybody, so in turn, I think you're going to have, like John said, Reigns kind of have to defy the odds to save his Rumble spot. I think that can help him because you have him going at odds with the Authority to get him over, but at the same time, some fans are then going to want for Reigns to lose his spot, which also might lead to, just more crowd distress.
Yeah, don't you think that's going to backfire? Like you said, half of the crowd might buy into Roman Reigns being this underdog against the Authority, but a majority of fans, I would think, would boo against him. They want him to lose.
See, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong, because I can tell you, even especially being at SmackDown, a majority of the fans support Roman Reigns. This whole IWC thing, this whole internet community, they may hate Roman Reigns, but the large majority of the casual fans very much like Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns got a huge pop in the arena. It started off with some boos, but then he got a huge pop towards the middle of the show. He got huge pops on live events we keep hearing. So I'm not so sure that the majority of people, and I'm not saying that against you, Walter, I'm saying this is a claim that people are saying, that the majority of people think Roman Reigns is a bust. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin seems to think that Roman Reigns is a bust, which that will be interesting how much that gets played out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we knew Philly was going to be a smart crowd, right? I mean, it's that's when you get an arena full of smart fans, that where the IWCers, the internet wrestling community, and the smart fans outweigh
The casual.
The casual fans, that's a rarity. That's like Chicago and Pittsburgh and Philly and sometimes New York and certain venues like that where, like I go to the Bon Secure Wellness Arena or the Bio Center in Greenville. This past time was probably around 50-50, but most times it's all casual fans, which is why those shows usually suck. And it's one of those things where that's who they're aiming at, man. That's who they're gearing up and putting this product out for. Look at what happened with the whole canceled WWE Network hashtag that was hot right after the Rumble and the next day, where maybe a few people did cancel their subscriptions, like B-Song, and you have like that barely affect anything. If anything, WWE wanted to make sure you knew the next day that, hey, we hit 1 million subscribers over the last 2 months, and we're where we need to be. That just goes to show you, casual fans are buying into this more than anything, and that's what they want, and that's who they're Triple H is definitely trolling the IWC at any time and place that he can. He is Trolly H from this point on. Like he literally is just trying to troll the internet. And try to get eyes on the product. And I think saying that there's going to be a monumental announcement, open up Raw, is definitely going to do that. There's going to be eyes. Just wait and see you saw what the ratings were for a canceled Raw last week. They were better than they have been in months. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, casual fans, especially now that we're on the road to WrestleMania, and they wanted to see what was going to happen with the Rumble fallout. This is the first real Raw after that. There's going to be a lot of eyes on the product tonight. And I think a monumental announcement that may affect Reigns is even going to have more eyes on there. And I think it's smart. I think it's totally smart on their part to say and exaggerate this thing to make it sound like this may change the name of the game for Lesnar and Reigns, which I completely, and Walter, I would like to bring this up because you were asking all of us in our message feed yesterday that, what do we think is going to happen here? Can we foresee maybe a change up to the main event at WrestleMania? And I know Frank and myself, we were still that it's set. It's going to be Lesnar versus Reigns. If anything, that's going to be a surprise at Mania. We're going to get a Seth Rollins cash into the Money in the Bank. But you seem to think there may be. I mean, this announcement may have something to do with the main event, and it may change it.
Well, I mean, yeah, you guys are saying that, when they mentioned Ambrose on Instagram, they were just kind of mentioning everybody in a sense, and they just singled out Dean Ambrose for the hell of it. But maybe it's a sign that there might be a slim chance, and I'm not saying it's definite because I'm with you. I think it's going to be Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They've been beating that dead horse since the Royal Rumble. But, what if Seth Rollins cashes in before WrestleMania? And what if, Dean Ambrose somehow finds himself in this whole title picture? What happens if we do get a Shield triple threat match in the main event of WrestleMania? And we still don't know what Brock Lesnar's situation is, if he's going to re-sign, if he's kind of made it clear to management that he's leaving and he's going to explore some options in MMA. If that's the case, maybe they're just going to think, to hell with this, he's leaving. Why do we want to put him in the main event of our biggest pay-per-view of the year? Let's just kill it while we can.
Yeah, I mean, again, anything can happen. And we don't know what Lesnar's plans are. We know that he's slimmed up, and for most of us smart people going, okay, he's slimmed up. Is that to throw off the trail of him going to UFC, or is it because he's going back to the MMA world? Because we do know that Bellator has said it on multiple occasions. There's a bidding war going on between UFC, Bellator, and WWE right now. But like most of us said coming out of Royal Rumble after what we saw in that triple threat match, this is the time WWE needs to throw him whatever he's asking for.
It's amazing to me because if you were to say a month ago that people actually wanted to see Brock Lesnar in the main event of Mania, I think a lot of people would say no. But right now, just the way he was booked over the last month, the way he performed in that championship match, I would say there's a lot of people who probably want to see Brock Lesnar in that championship match at WrestleMania, myself included. And I'm totally with you, Doug and Frank. I totally think that it is a lock of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the main event. And maybe they get the cash in there, but I don't see them going back on it this year.
But in this sense, if he has made it clear that he does not want to come back and he wants to get back into MMA and he carries the belt into WrestleMania, wouldn't they at least consider taking the belt off of him earlier, just because you do Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? We're talking cash-ins and we're talking, Paul Heyman heel turns or Roman Reigns heel turns. There's no payoff with this match, really.
According to our latest reports on WrestlingRumors.net, Vince McMahon seems pretty darn confident that Brock Lesnar's coming back.
I don't believe that. I think he's gone.
And that's just that, that's where we are. We don't know what his situation is going to be post Mania. We do know that he's scheduled for the Raw right after Mania, but the way Lesnar schedulings go between the WWE, because they don't know what if they want to pay him or not, but he may not even be there after, if he loses.
What else does he really need to do anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the whole question. Is they have him booked for that Raw? What would his purpose be? So
he beat the Undertaker. He's faced John Cena a million times. Like, who else does he have to face?
I don't know. That's the good question. I really don't know where they're going to go with Lesnar from here. But we do know that there's an announcement. We'll see what that is at the beginning of the Raw. Obviously, follow us at WrestleRumors. We're going to be live tweeting during the show. If something monumental does get changed, that'll be on our site as well. You can always find the latest news and rumors right here on WrestlingRumors.net. And since you faithful, there's about 125 of you watching, and that's awesome. Thanks for that. There's some people in our chat room. If you're not in our chat room, get over to WrestlingRumors.net. Click on the first thing that pops up in your little feed, the big picture with Wrestling Warm-Up. Click on that, get into the chat room, and let's talk about this, because I'm going to break a rumor to you guys right now that we haven't reported on, because it literally just came through in a text message right when we started the show. But The Undertaker has been seen dealing with WWE here recently. Apparently he made a trip out today to try to talk about what's going to happen and what he's doing at WrestleMania, if he's doing anything. So I have a friend of mine who works for the company, and he likes to let me know when things are. He won't tell me specific things, but he did tell me that he did see The Undertaker dealing with WWE today. So with that said, and if you have checked out the 5-point preview for Raw tonight, the very last point is about Bray Wyatt. And of course, we've heard the rumors about maybe Bray Wyatt's going to be facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31 if Undertaker can go. And I just want to read what it says. The headline for the point is, what's Bray Wyatt telling us? We've seen all these background promos from Bray Wyatt recently. He's talked about things, nothing living or dead in his promos, talking about he doesn't fear anything living or dead. Last week on Raw during his backstage promo, or actually it was on SmackDown that he said that. I did see that. That was in between the tag match and the main event. Bray Wyatt did a cryptic message. He's been doing this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Cryptic messages about who he is and what he. He has said many of things in his little promos that point towards The Undertaker, especially about he's scared of nothing, that he is not scared of anything that's alive or dead. He can defeat anybody, even at mythical proportions. So with the 5-point preview saying, following a dominant performance in the 2015 Royal Rumble match lasting more than 45 minutes and eliminating 6 superstars, Bray Wyatt delivered a bizarre message on Thursday's SmackDown that was even more cryptic than his usual proclamations. Asking, "What makes you smile?" Wyatt claims that he fears nothing living or dead. He then promised that after what happens next, it will be hard for you to ever smile again. To whom was Bray Wyatt speaking, and to who is he referring to? The nothing living or dead thing could totally be The Undertaker. Knowing that The Undertaker was with WWE today, talking about whether or not he's going to be wrestling or just being a part of something like the Hall of Fame or something come March. I don't know. Are we going to see The Undertaker over the next couple weeks to build a match towards Bray Wyatt, guys? What do you think?
Not tonight. Not tonight, but if he's signed on to do it, and if that's the way they want to go, it's going to be an awesome match, assuming Taker's healthy. Their working styles should go very well together, and I almost wish the streak was alive to see that match happen.
Yeah, I felt Bray Wyatt should have been the one to end the streak, frankly, because, when Bray Wyatt's talking about these mythological beings and whatnot, with The Undertaker going to walk off into the sunset soon, Bray Wyatt could be the guy to kind of carry that mantle, and what better way to have him do that than to have the, being the one in 21-1. But, I mean, we've heard, obviously, when Vince did the podcast with Steve Austin, why it was Brock Lesnar, so... But you know what? I'm with Alba. I don't think he's going to be there tonight. We might see some sort of, maybe a gong going off or whatever. The thing I'm more interested in is, are they going to ever explain, what the Undertaker's feeling after the streak is over to Brock Lesnar? They might not even mention that at all, right?
I mean, Paul Heyman mentions it all the time that got beat by Brock Lesnar, but I don't know what they're going to do as far as how they're going to book and build towards Bray Wyatt, the Undertaker, outside of Bray Wyatt finally saying he wants the Undertaker. I don't know what they're going to do here. B-Son, what do you think about this? Undertaker meeting with WWE today and.
See, I don't like John and Water. I don't think he's going to be there tonight. I could even see it being something, even though the Fastlane, I think, after Fastlane you might have, 4 or 5 Raws left.
4.
I still think his return would be better suited for something like post-Fastlane, maybe the Raw after that. But I really do hope we see him wrestle. I hope if we do see him wrestle that he's healthy enough to compete, because if there's anybody that deserves a much-needed time off, longer than a year, if he needs that time off, he's a guy that deserves it. But if he does end up wrestling Bray Wyatt, it's going to be a hell of a match, something that maybe we should have saw last year, maybe we should have saw with the streak intact, but that's still not going to take that much away from the match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens here. The only other person I can think of as far as Bray Wyatt talking about smiling is like DDP. That was his freaking WWE gimmick. I wouldn't think that they would go with a Bray Wyatt DDP match at WrestleMania. That doesn't make any sense. DDP was gassed in his freaking Royal Rumble appearance, which was, I mean, we got to see some diamond cutters. That's awesome. And he did give the diamond cutter to Bray Wyatt, but I don't think that has anything to do with DDP at all. As far as the whole smiling thing goes, I don't. Only thing I can think of.
At least Wyatt is finally being booked the right way.
I agree, and this is the way he should have been kept the entire time. But the John Cena feud got in the way, and then after that, it was just, well, and that's been WWE's issue is booking. It's been all about let's make sure we have the people that we, this one angle that we want to build around, which is the authority angle. Let's just keep building it, and let's not care about anybody else's bookings. And Bray Wyatt got lost in that shuffle because he wasn't part of the authority storyline. And that's been an issue for a lot of people. And it has been, they've been trying to play catch up, and that's why we've seen a lot of crazy and useless things happen on Raw, and made it less enjoyable, especially when you have 3 hours to fill, and you're just filling it because you have no plan for all these guys, and you're waiting until the 2 months before WrestleMania to start building matches for these guys, which tonight we should see the start of a build towards Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania match. I don't think that has anything to do with the announcement. I could be wrong. But we saw, Daniel Bryan get some closure against Kane on Thursday night in a casket match, literally some closure. He did close the casket. See, I do know how to make puns and ironic observations, John. Journalism did give me that idea. But it's one of those things where we're moving past Kane now. Is Daniel Bryan still going to be feuding with the Authority, or is he just going to start having this, this kind of one-off feud with Dolph Ziggler? What do you guys think? Are we going to see Daniel Bryan go one-on-one with a heel Sheamus? Or are we going to see Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler?
I think we're going to see Bryan and Ziggler for sure, because for one, it'll keep the IWC portion of the fans happy. And I really think all of this, too, even though there's reports that Bryan was the one who approached this as Ziggler, it just makes sense, too, with the whole building around Roman Reigns, because if you have Bryan in a feud that people can get behind and like, even though it's not the main event, and it may even just steal the show in the open, fans won't be as harsh on the other things they see in the product. And the big thing for me in this feud, a lot of people want to see either Bryan or Ziggler turn heel. I don't think one of the two has to turn heel. Just keep it the way that they've been building this on their Twitter accounts, and you'll have one hell of a feud. You'll have both of them be face, and you'll have a match that will get the crowd so hot for the rest of the night at WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no reason you have to turn either of these guys heel at this point. I mean, just the fact that we're even talking about Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania, two guys who the IWC just absolutely adores, and chances are these guys will probably be the opener to WrestleMania 31. This is definitely a step up from Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, and this is the first, correct me if I'm wrong, singles match for Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania, and for him to go up against Daniel Bryan, all you have to do is just book these guys as two guys who respect each other, who want to one-up each other, and get back into the title picture for the, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, whoever's going to be the champion. So I'm all for this. By the way, I have to get going. There's a Raptors game in about half an hour, so I got to do some coverage. Enjoy the rest of the show and enjoy Raw.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
RTZ out.
Cheers, guys.
RTZ out.
Here you go, Doug. Here's for your closure pun. There you go.
Yeah.
But
what'd you have to do? Load the app?
Yeah, I had to go.
Oh my God!
Took way too long. But anyway.
So you're not Warren Sapp, but you're really trying with the sound effects.
I mean, I almost got it happened at 7 a.m. Anywho, I imagine they booked this feud as a matter of one-upsmanship. We've seen Ziggler do his handstands and whatnot. Bryan did his against the corner running drop kick, whatever he does, like 5 times in the Rumble and on SmackDown. So maybe they just booked this as a thing of one-upmanship. Freaking make it a 10-minute Iron Man match. I don't care. Doing something where we get different amount of falls and 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 falls would be great for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if WrestleMania has the time slot for an Iron Man match anymore, but that would be the 2 people I'd want to see in it.
2 out of 3 falls would be cool with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally down with that. I'm just happy that we're talking about this instead of. I mean, trust me, I want to see Sheamus as a heel when he comes back because we need more heels in the company that people actually respect and can believe as a heel.
Believable heels.
Right.
Believable heels.
Exactly right. So someone that they can actually get behind as a heel. And Sheamus can do that, as we've seen in his debut. He definitely is a good heel character, and I think that's a good thing, a good place for him when he comes back is to be a heel. But as far as Mania goes, and he hasn't been on TV in a while, you could always, that's a perfect way to bring him back, is he attacking Daniel Bryan out in the left field for no reason that you think of, and except for he wants Daniel Bryan's butt for some reason. I don't know what it is, but you could do it that way, or you could have this feud between Ziggler and Bryan where it's not really a feud, it's just a program where these guys are trying to say they're the best in the company, and they go out to prove it. I guarantee that match is going to steal the show. It's going to be, I don't like, if you have Triple H and Sting and Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar going after these guys, that's hard. That'll be really hard. And Seth Rollins has to face somebody, or maybe Randy Orton returns tonight. We have seen rumors about that going down as well. Mania doesn't look like a bad card if it's going to be Ziggler, Bryan, Rollins, and Orton. Reigns, Lesnar can be what it is, maybe to set up for a Rollins cash-in, and then Triple H and Sting. And if we get Bray Wyatt Undertaker, that's a loaded hour and a half, if not more than that. So then for the rest of the card, you have a tag match, maybe one singles match on the kickoff show, or a tag match on the kickoff show, and then you have a Divas match to cool it off in between. And you have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which could literally just go 20 minutes with everybody starting in the match at once. So, man, I don't think WrestleMania 31 is going to suck. And for people that think it's going to suck just because Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are headlining, that's crazy. If anything should get you excited about Mania at this point, it's definitely. And that's if John Cena and Rusev don't have another match at WrestleMania, which probably is going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a stacked card, man.
It was so strange that they mentioned on the Authority Twitter account that Cena Rusev had been booked for WrestleMania, and then they decided to push it up.
No, that was, I mean, Michael Cole said that on Raw.
Oh yeah, he said it on the Raw. It was very strange.
It was kind of this breaking kayfabe theme, I think, though, because he was like the higher ups wanted this match for WrestleMania, but we're gonna have it for Fastlane.
And I'll tell you what, they mentioned that on SmackDown too. The higher ups, they keep kind of breaking that fourth wall kind of thing, and it's going to be interesting if that plays into things going into WrestleMania, because they could do that.
I honestly think that it's the smartest thing to do in this reality era where that, I mean, it's common.
Someone's pulling the strings.
Right, someone's pulling the string. It was me, Austin. It was like someone's pulling the strings, and we know it's Vince McMahon. Triple H is all over social media. You know that he's going to be trolling people. Why not break the fourth wall? Smart fans know. Maybe they're trying to smarten up some of the casual fans. I don't know, but it's making it more realistic. It's making it more believable. So the fact that they said that on Raw when talking to Roman Reigns blew me away. And I messaged you guys. I was like, look, this is awesome. The fact that they're literally shooting here, whether Reigns was told what to say or not. the questions were 100% legitimate, and straight out of stories that we would write on WrestlingRumors.net. So I appreciated the fact that they went there, and I hope that
because they're reading our site.
That's exactly right. Hey, we're not growing exponentially for no reason there, John.
Right.
We don't have.
walks in every morning and goes, guys, look what they got.
Yeah, we're not growing on Twitter, and we don't have half the roster following us on Twitter just because. But it's one of those things where, freaking A, man, you can really see that Triple H is trying to get some more. Obviously, he and Vince McMahon are butting heads on some things, but you could definitely tell Triple H's influence here in bringing more of the realistic what happens in the world of wrestling beyond the WWE ring, bringing that into the fold, into the storylines, and the fact that they even brought that up to Roman Reigns. Hey, people online say that you're just a hand-picked guy from the higher-ups that they're having to deal with. What do you think about that? Now, on Sam Roberts' podcast this past weekend, Roman Reigns came off as a dick. Just really came off as a jerk. And I'll take this as I'll take this with whoever else said it before, because we were talking about it last week. This is the perfect time for Roman Reigns to turn heel. I'm sorry. It just is. I don't care what anybody says about the fact they're trying to make this guy into the next big babyface. He can turn babyface in a year or two, and it would get, maybe he earns the fans' respect as a believable heel. Because if he comes off in his promos the way he came off on that podcast, I'm instantly going to hate him, and it's instantly going to make me respect him as a heel. He could get over as a believable heel, I think. We need believable heels. People are booing him right now. Turn him. You can't turn John Cena because of merchandise, but Roman Reigns doesn't have much merchandise and isn't selling a lot. So let's turn Roman Reigns. Thoughts?
I don't know. I don't think they would do that just because of they had this long-term plan for a year, like probably at least a year long. As soon as Brock Lesnar ended the streak, for Reigns to be this guy to take the streak from him. I think if you do turn Reigns heel, for one, you'd have to even further your efforts to get Brock Lesnar to re-sign, because you may miss out on a big WrestleMania moment if you want to get a guy like Reigns over to the next level, if you happen to have Lesnar work as a face for that show. Additionally, too, I think if you do have Reigns turn heel, there's no way you can end WrestleMania with a cash-in like many of us think will happen, or at least want to see happen, because then you have Seth Rollins starting his first title run as a presumable face, which I just don't think is the right move for him.
Well, and I talked about this in our chats as well. I think the time to start both of their turns would be at WrestleMania. Keep building towards this Reigns versus Lesnar match, and keep giving him the stupid shtick he's been given. Let the fans boo him even more. Keep acting like he's being forced down his throat. But he literally said in a podcast this weekend that fans can do what they want. They pay their money and boo me whatever they want. I'm getting rich, and to bringing up money when you're talking about fans cheering or boo you is a heel move, okay? It really is. It reminded me so much of like Ted DiBiase, back in the early 90s, who was all about money, and of course he did the shtick in the 80s as well. But early 90s, where Ted DiBiase was freaking on fire with his promos, it was all about money, and everything was about it. And when you're going as a major babyface saying, the fans can do what they want, I'm getting rich off of them. That's not a face move. To rub the fact that they're making you rich in their faces, that makes me want to hate you even more. And so I think WrestleMania would be the perfect time. Keep doing what you're doing now. People are still gonna hate him and hate him and hate him even more, because we're getting towards WrestleMania. And then let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if they turn him face or heel right now. Either way, the thing is, after the showing at Royal Rumble, and everybody has gotten behind Rollins as a major heel now. The casual fans hate him. The smart fans now love him for being such a believable heel and for getting over the way he's gotten himself over, and he's grabbed that brass ring, and now he's a main eventer. This guy, I honestly, I think you could, as soon as Lesnar and Reigns is over at WrestleMania, that smart crowd that's going to be there in Santa Clara, California, are going to start cheering for Seth Rollins to come out with his Money in the Bank briefcase. They're going to chant for Seth Rollins to come out. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be an instant face after this, but he's still with the authority, and you can keep running him as a heel, as a champion for his first few months of a champion, and have that that switch come maybe at SummerSlam or something.
Exactly, and that's exactly how I would book it. If you're gonna turn Seth Rollins and you're gonna turn Roman Reigns, I would have it where Reigns wins, he gets cashed in on, and then you have Reigns chasing Rollins, and then all of a sudden Rollins is starting to build some momentum. He's starting to act a little less heelish, and they do a reverse CM Punk, where CM Punk went from face to heel during his title reign. Yeah. You flip it, and Reigns becomes the authority's guide. Hey, you know what? This Rollins guy, he's kind of gone a little out of control. Let's cut a deal. Let's work together to get that title. That's how I do it. But I don't do that right after WrestleMania. I don't do that right after WrestleMania. Right. I make it slow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gradual turn, but you get the... And again, that's what we were talking about, long-term booking, which they don't do anymore. You and I have talked about payoffs from long-term bookings and where they started and stopped, and this would be a great payoff for the summer, is to have the fans continuously hating Roman Reigns to the point where he finally has to do exactly what Rocky Maivia did in '97, turn heel and say to the fans, look, y'all did this, you wanted to boo me, now freaking boo me because I'm taking out your boy that you're cheering for every week. Maybe he just starts coming in and taking out everybody with spears. I don't know what he does, but for me, have him turn somewhere in the summer heel, but keep booking him the way you're doing it now, keep shoving him down our throats, and we're still going to hate him, so just keep it going. That's the thing, people want to hate him, so turn him heel. Turn him heel. I'm not saying it has to be before WrestleMania. I'm not saying it has to be the night after, but it damn sure should be within a couple months after, like around SummerSlam in August. To me, that makes perfect sense and would be a major payoff, because then you're still using two Shield guys that you thought were going to be the two that would be, that wouldn't be the main eventers right off the bat, and you're still keeping them relevant and fresh in the main event. The only thing is, we're not talking about Dean Ambrose at all.
Does anyone think, and I want to put Ambrose on pause for a second because I'm definitely going to get back to him. Does anybody think that part of the announcement maybe has something to do with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal being more significant for a championship spot or something like that too? There's a way you could make that Battle Royal a little more important too. Just wanted to throw it out there. Regarding Ambrose, you're absolutely right. And Ambrose being a babyface with all of this going on is a huge, huge, huge detriment in how you book going forward. Because maybe Ambrose isn't in your long-term plans, but I'll tell you what, being in attendance in Philly and being in attendance in Hartford this past week, that guy's getting the biggest pop of anyone.
He is so over.
But he's got nothing. There's no booking going on for him
it's
right now.
He's Dolph Ziggler 2.0, man. He gets the major pops, but they're not doing anything with him. That Bray Wyatt program was atrocious.
That guitar slide, when the start of that intro, that place loses its mind. It's just...
I lose my mind, man. When I'm working out and that song comes on, dude, I lose my mind. I love that Motley Crue slide. It's awesome. His theme song gets me amped. But that's the thing with Dean Ambrose. We're not talking about him, and we all going in, early on said Dean Ambrose is going to be the star of the Shield, and we're not talking about him at all. He has no spot. They have ruined his booking, because coming out of June 2nd when Seth Rollins turned heel, Dean Ambrose was super hot, and all anybody wanted to see was Dean Ambrose beat the ever-living crap out of Seth Rollins, and we didn't even see that until Hell in a Cell.
And it didn't even really happen.
Right.
It didn't really happen. That's the amazing part. Rollins, we can't take this away, though, and I know you aren't, and I know Alex isn't, and I know none of us will, but I have to say it. Rollins is so good. It's unbelievable that he actually has gotten to the point where he is right now, and if they make him the guy, then my goodness, has he earned that spot more than anyone else has.
The only thing is he's not the big money maker like Roman Reigns will be.
You know what I think we could see at WrestleMania, maybe a bit out there, but with Seth Rollins having the potential to cash in during following a Roman Reigns win, what if they had Dean Ambrose after this, like, the build kind of stopped at Hell in a Cell with that match. What if they had him just thwart it like John said? That the place would go nuts, even though you would have Reigns still be the champ. You could still rejuvenate Ambrose so much going out of WrestleMania. You start getting this triple threat kind of Shield feud between the three for the title.
I would love that spot, but it would, and if they went back to his promo from...
He said he'd stop it at any point.
Right, where he said that. But then I have to ask, where has he been the last 2 times that Seth Rollins tried to cash in?
Exactly.
Yeah. WWE logic, not real life logic. It would work if Ambrose had been consistently thwarting off these cash-in attempts. But when Seth Rollins has popped up out of nowhere, or Seth Rollins, comes in at the end of a triple threat or anything like that and puts the briefcase and says, "Here, I want to cash in," and it's somebody else, like Brock Lesnar just getting up and getting F5 him and getting out of the ring, or John Cena AA him and getting out of the ring, with no Dean Ambrose at all anywhere, because he's in a program with Bray Wyatt and you can't have him working with more than one person. I think that's been the biggest issue. And John and you and I talked about this. There can be so much benefit for everybody if they took the guys that they know are getting over as the guys that people want to see, and they all interchangeably work together. They're not doing that. We saw that in the Attitude Era. Austin, Ross, especially in like 2001, you look at the top names that were all working together interchangeably. They were the main event spots. You only have like 3 guys in that spot right now, and so they can't interchange it, because you've got people like Kane and Big Show working in those spots that just the fans don't want to see anymore. The fans are begging. They're begging for Kane to retire.
In slacks.
In slacks. They're begging for insurance salesman Kane to just go away, and they're begging for the same thing for Big Show. You can't keep reusing the same guys in the same ways all the time. But you look in 2001, you got Austin, you got Rock, you got Angle, you got Triple H, you got The Undertaker, you got Kane in 01 as a main guy. Again, we're looking at 14 years ago, but look at it. These guys were freaking interchangeable. You always had them working matches together, in and out of the ring, whatever they were doing. They were all intertwined because they were all top guys. Right now, there's not that dynamic, and it needs to be. When you have Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose in a feud, but Dean Ambrose is hell-bent on stopping Seth Rollins at every turn of cashing his Money in the Bank briefcase because he's pissed that he broke up the Shield, they just forgot that whole storyline. That Hell in a Cell match did nothing to rectify their situation. Bray Wyatt stopped it. But Dean Ambrose hasn't gone after Seth Rollins in that manner in months since then. Since October, he hasn't gone after him in that way. Hasn't even cut a promo reminding him that he's pissed off. Roman Reigns has totally forgot about it because now he's all about the title. It's beyond me that they start these storylines and then act like we just forget about them. And then there's no closure to them, and there's no payoff. And the payoff is what you should be shooting for. It's crazy WWE logic, but these guys, especially I mean, look at who they could have. They could have John Cena, Brock Lesnar if he stays around, even if he is a part-timer. I don't care. Triple H is a part-timer too, but he's still a big name. I'm not saying to throw these guys in the mix, but you got Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus if he comes back as a heel. You have all these guys that you can interchangeably work in storylines that they should be. Rusev now. Rusev. And I'm not putting Ryback in that category, but Rusev has issues with Ryback, with John Cena, with Roman Reigns right now. Why are they not all like that? No one's they've gotten into this method where if you're working this guy, it can only be this guy.
Well, for me,
dumbest thing.
And we talked about this earlier in the week. I think the issue more so is they're thinking it's like this is your main event, and then everything outside the main event is the mid card. Everything outside of that. Yeah. Whereas in the Attitude Era, the main event consisted of guys that weren't necessarily involved in the title chase, weren't necessarily involved in battles with authority figures, in this case being Vince McMahon. It was okay if you had guys be 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. You didn't necessarily have to have one top guy, and that's what it was. But now they're trying to build to have one top guy. And when you have that, everyone who's not the top guy gets put down in that upper mid-card, if you will. And that was the World Heavyweight Championship for a long time.
Right, but the model there, I mean, if you look at the Attitude Era, all of those guys wanted to be the top guy, and they were all fighting to be the top guy.
My point that I made is that any of those guys in the Attitude Era could have main evented Raw on any given week, and it would have made sense. That's not the case right now.
No, because if you threw Dolph Ziggler, if it's not about the Authority, if it's not the Authority and it's somebody else, which all the heels are in the Authority, so go figure, that can't work. But if you threw Miz and Dolph Ziggler as the main event of Raw, there would be no viewers for that. Everybody would just tap out. Because it's like, why? They're two mid-carders that we really don't care to see because you haven't booked them that way.
It goes back to was there one Raw? It was a promo. I forget if it was Rusev or maybe Mark Henry. They had his promo main event Raw.
It was Mark Henry's USA celebration.
Yeah, they had that main event Raw, and everybody lost it.
Yeah, well, it main evented Raw, and the third-hour viewership was atrocious. Was absolutely ridiculous, and I think they've learned. Well, I'd say they've learned their mistake, but obviously they haven't learned their mistake. Triple H and the Authority opens every single Monday Night Raw, apparently, and that's their mindset, which is fine. But I don't want a 20-minute promo to open up Raw every single week. And we get, just keep it short and sweet tonight. That's my hope. They just keep it short and sweet. They make the announcement, they make a match, and the match starts. 2 weeks ago on Raw, we had one match in an hour and 30 minutes. One. In the first 2 hours, we had 2.5 matches 2 weeks ago on Raw. And it was all useless promos.
Well, look.
Can't have that tonight.
You can air your grievances via Stone Cold Steve Austin after Raw tonight.
That's a true statement. You got Stone Cold Steve Austin doing a live Steve Austin show with Triple H. Now, we reported this past week it got a lot of clicks and got a lot of attention that Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was talking with Wade Keller of PW Torch, they were talking about Roman Reigns, and Stone Cold just flat out said it. And the thing was, Stone Cold was promoting himself on Twitter during the Royal Rumble, and he was definitely asking people left and right, hey fans, I know that you're tuning in for the Royal Rumble. I'm watching it too. I want you guys to send me questions for Wade Keller. I got him. I'm going to be sitting him down on Tuesday night. The podcast will be out later in the week. I'm going to be talking to him about what's going on. Send me questions. He got freaking in 15 minutes, 345 emails all about Roman Reigns, so they had to talk about Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble. And Stone Cold Steve Austin said it flat out. He does not believe Roman Reigns is the guy. He does not believe Roman Reigns is ready to be the guy. Future guy? Sure. But he's green, he's not ready, and he shouldn't be in that position. Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is arguably, if not the most successful WWE superstar of all time due to numbers of ratings and merchandise sold. Hulk Hogan's the most popular name. If you say Hulk Hogan, everybody knows who that is because of his impact on the business itself and on pop culture. But Stone Cold Steve Austin made the most money for the company and for himself. And so you talk about this guy being the most successful pro wrestler of any decade. He himself said, I know Vince McMahon. I know that they want him to be the top guy, but he's not ready yet. And with Triple H, who is making decisions backstage as far as talent goes, with Triple H sitting down with him tonight, there's no way they're not going to harp on this for a good 10 minutes. I mean, it's probably going to be a 30 to 45-minute podcast, and I would guarantee you that the majority of the time spent will be talking about the planning backstage and why they think that with the fan reactions for Daniel Bryan, why do they believe that Roman Reigns is the guy? And I'm really interested to see what Triple H has to say. What are y'all looking forward to on that?
I'm looking forward to see what kind of because we've seen the podcast with Stone Cold and Vince, if there's any kind of differences between Triple H and Vince McMahon in these answers, because I hope there's a lot of kind of similar topics that come up, because we saw at the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia, Cesaro was massively over with that crowd. If Austin asked Triple H about that and you see Triple H open up about how he likes Cesaro and maybe Austin will bring up NXT as well, you have a definite divide between those two.
Okay, I mean, totally, dude. Because so Stone Cold is all about. He kept calling him Cesaro on the panel, but he loves the dude. Like Stone Cold has said it on multiple occasions. He loves Cesaro. Thinks that he marvels at his strength and thinks that he can he's a good star. Again, somebody else that needs to work on promo skills. I mean, you tried to put the best mic guy in the business, Paul Heyman, on him, and that didn't work because of how you booked him. But yeah, Cesaro needs work on his mic skills, but the dude is an incredible wrestler, and I love the team of he and Tyson Kidd. I hate the fact that Adam Rose is with him. Like they think that, we'll stick Adam Rose.
He wasn't with them on SmackDown.
Right, but they were talking about he's part of the brass ring club. Adam Rose, get the hell out of here! Like who believes that?
Well, I give him credit because that's a guy who had zero gimmick in NXT, came out and totally owned the Adam Rose gimmick in NXT. Good enough to get himself up to the main roster pretty quickly with it. So I give him that credit, but obviously the Adam Rose stuff has flopped on that.
It's just flopped big time.
But, I mean, I expect a lot of NXT talk. I expect some Kevin Owens stuff, some Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville stuff, that's good content. And yeah, obviously the Roman Reigns stuff should take up the majority of it. I'm curious. You were talking about just before. Trips is a big fan of the IWC and all that stuff. Maybe they talk about that. How much does he pay attention? So we'll see where it goes, but it should be just as good as the Vince one, exciting, and
yeah, I mean
maybe they'll talk about that alleged confrontation between CM Punk and Triple H.
Yeah,
maybe they will.
This is the first time too that they'll talk to him after he left for UFC.
True
right?
statement. This was after the announcement of the UFC being involved. I mean, this is big. I mean, I'm sure Stone Cold will open up about all this stuff, and it'll be interesting to see if Triple H shoots, because Vince.
Maybe they bring up the talent program that they just talked about with the talent can't mingle with production people and behind the scenes people.
Maybe.
Hashtag hypocrisy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But it's one of those. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be worth watching. I think that it's going to be. I mean, I'm more excited about that than Raw. Because I just
be pretty good tonight. I'm excited for it.
It's road to WrestleMania. They should be building towards WrestleMania program, so it shouldn't be a fallout. Everything should. Again, I keep using should because WWE logic is F you if you're watching this show. But should is definitely the word to use, because the Raw tonight should not be full of useless segments. It should be building towards everybody's positioning for WrestleMania, because we have 2 months to do that. Fastlane's just going to be an interchangeable pay-per-view. And while they're going to have to build matches for Fastlane, like the Divas title match, which we already know is going to take place between Paige and Nikki Bella, we know that they're building that one up. Whatever. The rest of the matches should fall in place, but no one's really going to be looking forward to that. Once the Royal Rumble's over, everybody's looking towards WrestleMania. So I fully expect for people to start getting at least some kind of clarity on where they're going to be at WrestleMania. And I hope that starts, and I hope that does well tonight. I mean, honestly, if you're going to run with Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, have them tag together in a match at Fastlane. You know, and then try to show each other up or something. I don't know, but have them start working together on Raw tonight and build towards something that way. You don't have to turn either one of them heel, but just have them have some, some interesting spot moves in the match at Fastlane, and they're trying to better each other, because Dolph Ziggler was arguably getting the most pops as a babyface before Daniel Bryan came back, and then Daniel Bryan is now taking the reins back over in that. No pun intended that time. So I think I don't know. I think Raw should be good. Shouldn't have a lot of wasted segments, but we'll find out when it starts here in about 30 minutes. The Undertaker was meeting with WWE today. We'll see where that goes. If we get more cryptic Bray Wyatt promos, I'm getting tired of not seeing Bray Wyatt on TV actually competing though. I really, outside of his run with Dean Ambrose, we haven't seen him do much. I mean, he had a stupid match with Eric Rowan a couple weeks ago on SmackDown that was just. Again, that whole situation is just stupid to me. The fact that Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt have issues is stupid. They were together for a year, and we remember that, WWE. We remember that. Bray Wyatt set them free after fixing them, yet they have issues. So, I don't know. It makes no sense. But that's our show, man. We've talked about Raw. We've talked about what's going on. We've talked about the fact that we could see Taker in the next couple weeks because he did meet with WWE today. We've talked about Bray Wyatt possibly being his opponent. We talked about freaking Bray Wyatt needing to be on TV more and then just doing his promos. We've talked about Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, if that's going to be the match, or if Sheamus is going to show up and be a heel. Randy Orton should return tonight. If he doesn't return tonight, it should be the next week. I don't know if they're going to build towards a Seth Rollins-Randy Orton match at Fastlane, but that would be a good match to put on the card. I fully expect to see him here soon. A lot of people are asking about Bully Ray. I don't know about Bully Ray. I don't know if he's going to wrestle another match without his brother. I don't know what they're going to do there. He got a huge pop at Royal Rumble. It was awesome to see him at Royal Rumble.
Got a huge gut too.
Right, but I don't know how they build towards bringing him back to use him more. But that's it, man. Triple H is going to make a Monday Middle announcement at the beginning of Raw, and we're going to see what goes from there. You can follow John Alba at John Alba. That's not his real Twitter handle, people. We were just making fun of the fact that Warren Sapp got arrested for trying to pick up a hooker at 7 o'clock this morning.
Beast.
Greg Anthony.
Absolutely ridiculous. But you can follow him at NotWarrenSapp or, of course, at John Alba SFC.
And at my new website, www.johnalbajournalism.com, which features...
Journalism!
Which features a piece from WrestlingRumors.net. So
it very much does. Yes, it does. It's a good site. Check them out.
Good website.
Here's hoping that you get a job in Greenville. Alex Bisong, you can follow him at GlassModeALB. Obviously, he's talking about the kid that died in the commercial last night, being a Roman Reigns fan. So of course that's there. At GlassModeALB, he'll be tweeting about Raw and of course using filthy language while doing it. You can follow me at Doug Mac, or you can follow me
I was excited to see Roman Reigns in the event of WrestleMania 31, but I couldn't because I died.
So of course, I love it. It's so awesome. You can follow me at Doug Mac, or you can follow me at WrestleRumors. Of course, we'll be live tweeting during the show tonight. And, of course, we'll be live tweeting and getting some stories up because I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff to talk about coming from Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast featuring Triple H immediately following Monday Night Raw. You guys enjoy the show. Make sure you hang out with us during it. Let's make tonight fun, all right? We'll catch you on the next one.